the Armory.
This meeting is being recorded.
And we're so excited, and I've got to tap my got it button wherever it is. Hi, Wackett, you want to come get recorded for posterity? Welcome to the Armory Park Historic Zone Advisory Board for Tuesday, July 19th, 2022. I think we have a quorum. What I'd like to do is have roll call. Tom.
I'm here.
Yay. Robin.
Yes.
And Maurice.
Aye.
Good. John.
Present.
Helen.
Here.
And me, Martha. I'm here and we have a quorum. Approval of minutes for June 21, 2022. Do I have a motion to accept as offered?
Move to approve minutes as offered.
Thank you, Robin. Second?
I'll second.
Maurice, seconds. Roll call. Tom.
I'm going to abstain. I wasn't at that meeting.
Got it. Robin.
Aye. Here.
Good. Maurice.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Me. I. Helen.
Aye.
Cool. All right. They passed. They're done. Call to the audience. Did you get anything official, Jody, for call to the audience?
I did not.
Okay. Well, we'll do an unofficial one later on, probably. Well, less official. In that case, let's start reviews. HPZ 22032, 519 South Russell Avenue. Construction rear addition. It's a full review. Contributing resources. Who is going to present?
Hey guys, Jonathan Walkup here. I'll do the lead off, and then Karen, my architect, will follow up and provide any color commentary and insight on the overall design.
Take it away.
Cool. Hey, thanks guys for the opportunity to present to you tonight. My name is Jonathan Walkup, and I do live at the 519 South Russell Avenue here in Armory Park. I do appreciate the opportunity to share the casita building plans and look forward to answering your questions tonight. And I trust it will meet or exceed your design requirements. On March 1st, 2021, I purchased a fully restored Sonoran row house. We believe it's around 1890, and have enjoyed living here since that time. What drew me to this particular property was not only the detail to restoration, because they really had an exacting eye for that, but also I had an opportunity to continue the vision of developing a casita in the back of this property. It's all leveled, it's all flat, and it was all ready to go. The owners decided not to continue with the project, and I happened to step in and purchase it at that time. I like the fact that they had also gone through the process of building the garage in anticipation of connecting it to a casita, but they stopped the construction. So I think in the pictures you'll see a wide open back garage, and that's because it was built but never connected to the new casita because they stopped construction. I received their construction plans, but found that overall it was a little too large. I wasn't really keen to cut down the big, mature mesquite tree in lieu of putting in a pool. I just didn't like that too much. So working with Karen, I believe we created a casita that complements the existing structure, meets design requirements, and I think that's kind of the preamble for setting the table for the design that we can talk about today. And I'll just pass over to Karen.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. You have copies of the photographs I sent, both of the property and the area surrounding the property, I trust. I do not have those on my screen. What we did was really keep as closely as possible everything about the existing house. We've got the proportions, we've got a height which does not exceed that of the existing house. We're doing the same thing in terms of corbels and lintels and everything basically except for the stucco texture, which we will use as a means of differentiating this building from the existing. Otherwise, the proportions, the tall, narrow windows, everything is, I think is pretty self-explanatory, but I'll be happy to answer any questions. Ah, there it is. Yes. Yeah, this is the edge, the end of the garage to which we'll be adding on to. Same thing. This is a view of the backyard. That's the front of the house and the front of the garage. That's part of the backyard where the addition will go. And yep, here's the drawings that we submitted. Any questions I can answer?
The height is, you're saying it's going to match the contributing structure?
Yes, 14 feet.
Okay, I believe the code says that it needs to be smaller than the original structure. So you may need to bring it down a couple of inches.
We can do that. That is not a problem.
Okay, thank you. I'm not wrong in that, right, Jody?
Is it smaller than the building or less or not?
John has his hand up. We'll let
Sorry.
John-
Oh,
That's-
sorry, Martha. I'll have to look that up for you. I don't think I recall it off the top of my head, but I'll look it
I
up.
believe John's got his hand up. Stand by for a page 23, 4,227 comment.
No.
Okay, John, tell it.
This is the fifth plan we've seen, and it's so way better. We want to thank you than all prior iterations we've seen.
Oh, thank you.
However, the contributing structure from prior plans has a roof parapet height of 13 feet 4 inches. That's the total height. The garage, for some reason, was approved and is larger, but it's a non-contributing building. So your windows look a lot better. They look like they are all clad wood.
Yes.
They all look like they're casement. There are a couple of awning type in the bathrooms, but that doesn't bother me in their visibility spots. But there's some differences. The previous owner was a bit of a cowboy builder. The garage was much larger and he had to tear down part of it. What you are showing has a, if you scroll up just a little bit, the roof slope is opposite of what you're showing there. There's a high parapet wall on the north, but then it slopes down where it ends. And it looks like you are going to cap it right there and bring in a new wall before you move on to your addition.
Yes.
But that's not very clearly shown, nor are spec sheets for the windows and doors and the manufacturer or any sorts of dimensions on any of these things. Proportionately, it looks okay. The metal roof where it is okay. The canales look okay. Not worried about the chimney height, but if you could bring the total height down to 13.4 to match the existing contributing structure, be no taller than the contributing structure, that would be better in my mind.
Okay.
We've had this was supposed to be on the May 17th edition, and we got a separate plan set sheet for that. review, but they were developed back in December, I think. Is that still accurate? Because it's got several different mentions. It's showing the building being 11.7 and then 13.7, but you're saying larger. We know the building to be about 16, the contributing structure with its add-ons to be about 1,611 square feet. I don't think you're gonna be over the 80% calculation for the lot, and we really appreciate that you brought it in. But I'm not so sure that the plans we're seeing are quite fleshed out enough.
Oh, okay, I'm looking at what was the latest submittal, and it has the window sizes and types of openings on the windows shown on that, so.
We don't have any of that.
Okay, and I don't know where the mix-up was and why you do not have this latest.
Apparently staff didn't get it either, or they would have posted it. So
Okay,
we're working on the older stuff and the image you're showing us now, which was
Okay,
part
so-
of the larger package back in May.
what should I do to get the newest drawing to you?
Well, can you show us?
If I can screen share,
You bet.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Yep,
Yes.
cool.
See, we got the types of windows, the heights.
Okay, good.
So this set of plans is what PRS and the rest of staff ought to be seeing,
Okay,
and should have been included in our package, but I'm glad to know they're there.
yeah,
I do have another question about your site plan. There's a little green box next to the cut in. That
Right
one
there?
right there. Is that mechanical equipment?
yes, that's a condensing unit.
Any chance of putting that, that's right next to the front door of your neighbor to the north. Is there any way to move that into your interior yard? 'Cause otherwise it's right next to their front door with a lot of noise.
And I talked to the guy last night, and I know his front, actually it's in their backyard. Yeah, their front door actually is, I don't know, 40 feet away. Something to consider for sure, but I don't see it as being very close to their front door.
Well, usually condensers are about 3 feet by 3 feet. And so how that's gonna, obviously you've got a new door in the garage addition to go out and do it, but it's going to create a mechanical unit with noise right on the property line.
Yeah,
However it goes through, and there's not really any plans here for us to review that. Would you consider moving the mechanical to within your actual courtyard?
yeah, that's kind of a Jonathan call. Yes, it can definitely be done. I'm not sure where in the interior courtyard it could go that it would not be relatively visible. Maybe on the
About where the center of your cursor is, probably.
right here might be, yeah.
In that area. Is that a
Yeah.
possibility?
A possibility. That's a long way to move it. Maybe can we drop it on the roof?
You could put it on the roof too, as
Yeah.
long as, yeah.
Yeah, because
Especially,
I just really was looking for the garage not to go over like 90 degrees. So it's really more of a, periodic, trying to keep it around 90 degrees.
rooftop is fine generally, especially when it's not visible from the street or adjoining neighbors. It's just right there on the ground, right there on the property line,
Yeah.
the chain link fence. It's not a preferred location.
Yeah.
Right, we can look at putting a rooftop package unit, which would probably be either
Mhm.
in this area. This is a higher roofed area here in that the large room, but it could probably go either here or down here with no problem.
Okay.
As a rooftop unit.
Do you have any more details on the window units you're planning?
Not at this time, other than aluminum clad wood windows. You want to, I'm not quite sure you want a manufacturer and a
And they're all
style.
they're all casement rather than sliders, correct?
They're all casement other than the awning window in the bathroom.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it's not quite a fully developed package to go on for permits, so we want to cover our bases.
Right.
Anybody else here have a question from the board? Or thoughts?
Well, this is Helen. I would like to say this is really a great effort. And I think John's comments could really improve things with very little effort. And so I'm liking this.
Great.
Good, thank you.
Anyone else on the board? Is there a way we
I'm
can,
And
go ahead,
I'm-
Maurice.
I'm just curious, is this an ADU?
I'm sorry, what?
An ADU.
I don't
Right.
believe so.
It's a secondary
It is a
residential.
It is, but this is in a zoning area, the HC3, that I'm not sure is subject to that ADU requirement. Yeah, this was all submitted before the ADU came into being.
Man,
It's a secondary dwelling unit, which is allowed on the zoning on the site.
Yeah,
Okay,
It just has to be compatible with the existing contributing structure on the site because it's in the HPZ.
okay.
and out of all of the iterations we've seen, this is the most compatible.
Oh yeah,
Is
you've done
there
a
a
nice
way-
job.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a way we can make this a motion to approve with some conditions on it and move them along?
Sure, I'll take a stab at
Robin,
it.
did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, I hadn't seen the previous iterations, but this looks like a good addition to the home.
Yeah. John, can you come up with a
Sure.
motion?
Sure.
Okay,
In the matter of HPZ 22-032, 519, 521, 523 South Russell Avenue. We recommend approval as presented, provided the total height be reduced to 13.4 inches to be no higher than the contributing structure on the site. That the mechanical equipment butting the northern property line be relocated to a roof so as to not impact neighbors, and that more fully and developed and realized and corrected plans be presented for permitting, and that the applicant come back if significant changes are anticipated.
do I have a second for that motion?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Maurice seconds that motion. Any other comments, board? It seems like a good deal to me. Let's call for the vote. Tom,
Aye.
okay, Robin,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Maurice,
Aye.
Helen,
Aye.
Martha, aye, passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Jody will explain the next step.
Sorry, Jody had a problem finding the unmute button. So you will be forwarded to the Plans Review Subcommittee. The Plans Review Subcommittee meets twice a month on the second and the fourth Thursday of the month. So the next available agenda that we have, we will docket you on that agenda. You will essentially do the same thing. You will present your project. They will ask questions. They will make a motion to either approve with conditions, continue because they want additional information, or deny it. For the record, we don't get that many denials, but I'm telling you anyways.
okay, so does this mean that we can't go ahead and submit this for plan review yet?
No, I'm still finishing the process.
Okay,
And
so, I mean, it will be until after this meeting in next month, is that correct?
it'll be on the next available agenda. I'll let you, Karen,
Okay,
when that is. I don't have that in front of me
Okay.
just this second. And then the recommendations from both the advisory board and from the plans review subcommittee will be forwarded to the director of PTSD. He will issue a decision letter. That decision letter, from the date of that decision letter, there is 14-day appeal period. During that appeal period, you can appeal. The property owner, obviously, he can appeal. The advisory board could appeal, or plans review subcommittee can appeal. If there's an appeal, there's a fee associated. So whoever is appealing has to pay the fee, and then it'll go to council, and they will either decide to uphold the appeal or not. If there is no appeals on the 14th day or thereafter, you will submit your project with revised plans. The revised plans should address any conditions that are noted in the decision letter, and you
Okay.
finish with your permitting process.
okay, I think I understand.
If you
Quite the
don't, you can
deal.
shoot me an email and I'll
Okay.
reiterate this again.
And I would suggest shooting Jody an email with this set of plans. So she can make sure that Michael gets them in the correct area, so we're not looking at old stuff.
PRS is supposed to see the same thing we do, but if you want to include the actual plan set, so it's easier for them to review from the May meeting, that might be helpful. And then send this as an addendum of possible suggestions, just so that they have the time and opportunity to look at it.
Yeah.
Noting that it is separate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, are you talking to me?
Yes,
Talking to,
just
Okay.
advice for you, Karen.
To send the complete drawing set as an addendum for review before I get a letter?
Back
I-
in May, just a plan set that was readable without having to scroll up to 5,000%.
Okay,
Was provided, and it's still there. If PRS gets that, it's the same plans, but if you want to show any revisions based upon commentary, has
Okay.
possible options, you can.
and to whom do I send that then?
City staff,
City staff?
Jody and Michael.
Okay, okay. I shall do that.
thank you. That's it for tonight for you guys. Thank you very much for
Sure.
taking the time.
My pleasure.
Good luck with it.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I'll be passing the hat.
It'll get there. All right, thank you so much. You
Thank
can
you.
quit sharing your screen. We appreciate you having the updated stuff. Next on the agenda is HPZ 22-061, 303 South 4th Avenue. We've seen this one, they're back. Constructing an accessory dwelling unit, an ADU, and demolition of a detached rear yard structure. Who's presenting?
That will be me right here. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Weaving down from below.
Yeah.
And please identify your name and identify yourself for the recording.
My name is Jarek Sosi. I work at Dust Architects. I'm here with one of the principals, Kate Hayes. I believe he's on the call. Yeah.
I'm here, but yeah, I apologize. I'm also here, but for some reason my camera just stopped working. So I don't know, but I'm listening.
That's okay. Oh, okay. You feel free to jump in.
I'll be taking the lead on this one. Let's see.
So take it away.
All right, can you all see the presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Oops. What happened? Okay. Sorry. It's not showing. I don't know why it's not showing that first page. Let me reopen that. There it goes. Okay. So we have a project located at 803 South 4th Avenue, right on the corner of East 18th Street and South 4th Ave, which is right here. So the property was purchased in 1873, and at the time it was believed to be a storage building or a banking business. And since then, it's gone through different alterations, and currently it is owned by Ken Godat, who resides on the property. And the owner would like to add on one accessory dwelling unit, a carport structure attached to the new storage shed, and some landscaping to be done in the backyard. The ADU would be approximately 600 square feet, and the new storage shed would be about 72 square feet. This showing the development zone, the context, and the buildings within that development zone. Here you have Ken's house at the corner. This is the view of the west facade, and this is the view of the north facade. And our project, the ADU would be located just behind this existing site wall here. And some images of backyard and the existing shed that we propose to demolish. And just some context of what the windows look like on the east facade of the existing house. Just showing some of the larger windows and French doors. And here we're showing the existing texture and color of the house, stucco. And that's a rough cement stucco with white paint, and this is the existing site wall, and that's a sanded cement stucco with white paint. And we're proposing a smooth finish. This doesn't show the same color, but we do want it to match the existing color of the house. This is the existing site plan showing the existing shed that we propose to demolish, and we've been in contact with Jody, and she's been in contact with the SHPO on getting a reevaluation meeting going in November, because we know it to be built sometime between 1949 and 1974, which is out of that period of significance for Armory Park, which is 1860s to 1945. And here showing the new site plan. We plan to have the ADU have the same style and materials and continue a rhythm following that window, which you'll later see the elevations. We propose to align it with the existing house, and this prevents some of the mature trees in the backyard to be preserved, as well as preserving the existing garden, which is south of the property. And we also propose a new storage shed located here with a cantilevered shade structure for the vehicle to be located here. They're both within the perimeter yard setbacks, and we're hoping to get that passed, and as well as landscaping. So the new construction, will reflect the style of the existing house. It's a corrugated, rusted corrugated hip roof. And the new ADU construction will maintain a 11-foot 2-inch height at the middle of the hip roof, and with the overall height of 13 feet, which is lower than the existing house. And we are proposing to align it with the historic setback. It's 2'9" from the north property line. And then again, the roof is rusty corrugated to match the existing house. Surface texture, as I explained, we're hoping to get a smooth stucco finish with the same color as the existing house. And rhythm, we're matching. If I can go back. Matching this window right here. It's a 6 foot by 6 foot wide opening, and we're planning on continuing that rhythm with the new ADU. And here's some of the elevation. So on the north side, street view, we have 6 foot by 5 foot height windows, which here is the line of the existing site wall. So anything below that, you won't be able to see. And on the north side, we're proposing some French doors to match the existing French doors. What's that? Someone say something. With some transoms at the top, and we got the west elevation and the east elevation here. And the storage shed, which will also be stucco to have the same color as the existing house, and with the rusted corrugated roof. And these are some conceptual visuals of what it might look like from the street side. And inventory form. Yeah. Is there any questions?
No, I think you've done a very nice presentation. And into our concerns that we had during your courtesy. Thank you so much for that. Maurice, you want to say something?
I'm just curious, what is the square footage of the building?
Of the ADU?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's approximately 600 square feet.
Okay, that's good.
Tom, you got anything? Okay, thanks. Robin, you got something?
You in the original or another iteration, I'm getting a lot of feedback. We saw as I recall, the parking structure was abutting the ADU. I think this is a vast improvement to move it back to where it is.
Yeah, it would be better if it were set back away from the street as well.
I had a question for Jody, actually. It seems like it's a agreed upon sort of error revision. Is it typically the case that a person who's ready to go would have to wait 4 months to actually just do a clerical revision? I mean, it seems like, this board is always getting hit for holding things up, and here's a case where clearly it's not this board doing it. I'm a little confused about the timing on that. Is that the only time they meet is every 4 months?
So the HSRC meets probably 3 times a year, and they already had their agenda set. They're meeting in July, but they already had their meeting set for the July. So their next meeting is in November. We've gotten verbal agreement from staff that it seems to SHPO staff that it seems to be an error. But we're just making sure that it's clear on the books officially that it is a non-contributing element. It was built after period of significance and appears to be an error that was included on the inventory form.
Thanks for clarifying.
Anyone else?
I've got a couple.
Okay,
I want to thank the team and Ken for doing 2 courtesy reviews. This is an improved refinement. Just a couple of questions. It looks like there's a bunch of new paving and a new fireplace structure down there. And do you have any more information on that? Is there a design or a design for the shroud for the air conditioning unit or any of that?
There isn't a design for the shroud just yet. And the owner would
you need
like,
to speak up.
oh, sorry. No, there isn't a design for the shroud yet, for the condenser unit. The hardscape, we're still not sure of material. That is still going under design, different designs. The fire pit, that is would be wood burning fire.
So it's basically a hole in the ground with a
Yeah,
grill.
it's a hole in, yeah.
Okay, a non-required permitted item in the garden feature. Okay. Do you anticipate that the yard will hold all the runoff from these structures? Are you putting in catch drains and stuff?
We are planning on having these storage or carport have runoff into the garden as well as the ADU. So we have gutters on both structures.
Okay, but they'll fall into the yard instead of going onto adjoining properties.
Yes.
French drains or otherwise.
Yeah.
And then a question about the storage. Is the deck that you're putting on the north side in that very small space, since it's kind of an awkward walkway, is that you've got 2 doors on either end, but does it also open from the top so it doesn't end up being like rodent haven?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? The door?
You're showing a new storage unit in the 2 feet 1 inch space between the north wall of the ADU and the existing wall.
Right.
It looks like it'd be easier for robbers to hop over, but you know, if that works, does it have deck access to that storage space instead of just the 2 ends? There's not many.
Yeah, we're still looking at that, but yeah, we're just trying to figure out a way of how the owner would access storage. But we do plan on having storage back there in some form or way. How it opens up, we're not too sure yet.
And the fountain you're talking about is just like a wall-mounted unit?
Sorry,
it's listed as one of your things, a wall fountain that's on the backside of the new storage unit. Is just
we're planning on a fountain.
Okay.
Either some type of fountain. We haven't gone to the specifics of it.
Okay. And can you go ahead and get the permits and start construction on the rest of this, even if the demolition of the theoretically non-contributing shed stays until it's reviewed by SHPO?
That I'm not too sure about.
I'll chime in. This is Cade. I think the holdup with SHPO will be it'll delay the construction to some degree because of the shed components, the plumbing requirements, and we're gonna have to dig up the backyard. So we are going to have to wait until we can demo that to really get going.
Okay. All right.
So
I would also add that while SHPO will hopefully schedule it at the November HSRC meeting, ultimately it still has to go to the keeper of the National Register. I don't expect it will be any different and they will concur with it, but if you're waiting until it's like final, it's still a little ways out, and that could really mess up their timeline.
Can you make a determination, Jody, that it's non-contributing because of, materials, craftsmanship, other visible information on the shed?
I've already confirmed that it's out of the period of significance based on the information that they provided, and I did some research myself. It is something that showed up later than the period of significance, but ultimately it is going to be SHPO that's going to make the official decision, or it's the keeper that makes, the keeper who makes the official decision.
Okay. All right. So we just have to make the recommendation that provide the demolition is approved pending SHPO and national review.
How long do you anticipate after SHPO the national review would take, conceivably in your experience, Jody?
I think if I recall correctly, once you send it up to the keeper, the keeper typically has a 45-day review period, but sometimes, so that's November, December, that's January-ish.
Yowza.
Wow, that's a long time to wait.
It is that, I'll say it, it sucks.
I'm not so sure that we can do it since it's listed though on the SHPO records.
It's removal of
like
the shed will not impact the house. Ultimately, for lack of a better description, your big ticket item is the house, and the shed is just it's a contributing element, but it's not going to impact the listing of the overall property.
All
Okay.
right, can
So
we go down?
could we say that if you have a finding that it's non-contributing, a demolition permit can be done, but it will be documented according to highest standards for contributing structure?
I don't know that makes sense what you're saying.
Okay. We're just trying to help them out.
Well, I'm also wondering the way construction would work around that. They can be building in one area, not deconstructing in another. Let's get Ken comment here. Go ahead and unmute, Ken, and tell us what you're thinking.
Do you really want to know?
On so many levels.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for reviewing this. I'm just curious if someone from SHPO has already agreed in principle that this is a non-contributing piece of building here. Wouldn't a letter of intent from SHPO serve as a level of protection that would allow the demolition of this shed?
As much as I always want them to write the letter that I want them to write, they always skip slightly past and around what I want them to say. That's always been my opinion. They will not, they'll say, yeah, it appears to be, but they'll never fully commit because they're not the ones who are ultimately making the decision. They're saying, yeah, it appears to be the case, but ultimately they're going to defer to HSRC and the keeper.
HSRC being the national.
Sorry, your work in government, you use a lot of acronyms. The Historic Sites Review Committee is a review committee of volunteers appointed by the State Historic Preservation Officer.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're from the whole statewide, and they review nominations and they review addendums, etc., and they make a recommendation to the keeper.
Okay. And is there any way even to get at this July meeting a letter in their hands that the group could essentially sign as a tentative holding method, that a final determination would be made in November, but that this group is approving it or designating it as being non-contributing in July?
That is a really good question, but they will not dock it. I've already gone back and forth. And so in putting that, in requesting that letter, you're requesting to change the agenda, docket that item, because it's essentially an action item. And they've already pushed back and said no to me.
And then I guess the final question, and Martha, thank you for asking about, can we build around this? Kate is absolutely correct. The sewer lines and the water lines currently run to that shed. So they would need to be relocated, as well as the electrical. Rebuilding that twice is not something that we would want to do. Also, a certain amount of leveling of the backyard is going to be necessary. So my question is, if that shed were to vanish sometime between now and January, where would the risk come?
I'm sorry, Ken, are you asking me or are you asking the board?
I'm asking the committee.
Ken, I don't think we can touch that one.
With a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, it's kind of out of our hands.
I can say that there have been violations from 2019 that have received absolutely nothing of interest from the city. So,
Jody, a stupid question. Could they pursue an expedited mayor and council demolition review?
ooh,
That's the alternate process for demolishing a contributing structure. And if you can show that it is not a contributing structure, could mayor and council approve it prior to the SHPO finding?
Yeah. How expedited that would actually happen, that's another story.
faster than SHPO.
Faster than January is better than.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out.
Thank you.
That's the
Helen,
demolition
Helen,
process identified in the code.
yeah,
Even as a
Helen, what do you
contributing
think? What are your thoughts on this?
I can look into it.
I want to hear what Helen has to say. Helen Erickson, what do you think of this? Is this making you spin? A little crazy?
I don't know that this is something we can solve.
Okay. Can we approve the plans as presented without, oh, I'm sorry, Helen, no. Crap, howdy. Also, by the way, I don't want to be, I want to be a potentate, or I want to be a keeper. I want to be some of these cool things. Who the is a keeper, for God's sakes? It's like goalies. This is just asinine. Anyway, that was my so, Tom, you got anything, Mr. Beal?
I think the plan looks good. I think we should approve it as presented, and approve the and give our whatever tacit approval of the demolition. You know, and you know, if Ken wants to get a demolition permit, if that's going to be quicker than SHPO having to say that it's not anything you need a demolition permit for, I would go for that. But yeah, I mean, we can't do it. and we can't say, hey, Ken, yeah, go ahead, tear it down. We won't tell anybody. But I'd love to be able to do that. But I think we should approve it as presented, which includes the demolition of the shed.
Why don't you make that a motion?
Okay. In the matter of HPZ 22061, 303 South 4th Avenue, I move that we approve the plans as presented, including our support for demolition of the shed, however that can be accomplished.
Is there a second to this motion?
I will second it if we can add an addendum that says, per the advice of Jody Brown, that the structure is not contributing.
Would you?
Okay.
Tom? Okay.
That way we're covered.
I would agree to that.
Okay.
I don't know that we have to single out Jody, but sure, that is part of the narrative here.
She's the one that's going to have to process any other avenues. So she gave us guidance that it's non-contributing because we can't take an action to demolish a contributing structure.
Okay.
Good, we have a motion and a second. A discussion. Ken's got his hand up.
I may be mishearing, but you seem to be referring to this property as 303 South 4th Avenue.
It is 803.
803, 807, right.
Okay. We'll make sure that's corrected on the. Okay.
It'll be corrected in the LAR.
All right. Any more discussion? All right, let's call the vote. Tom. Robin.
Aye.
Aye.
Good. Maurice.
Aye.
Thank you. Helen.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
And me. Aye. It passes. Yeah, let's see if we can get this going. Just more work for Jody. She's so excited about that. Okay. Jody will let you know what the heck's going on as soon as she can. Okay. Do you have any other questions, guys?
No. Thank you.
No.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate you taking the time that you have to work with us and get our feedback and fall forward, guys.
Yeah. Stupid question is the floor plan roughly about what was shown prior? It's not our purview, but just curious.
Yeah, it was the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Good
Thanks,
luck with
everyone. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the advice and help.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Good luck.
Thank you. All right, we get to do an art project. C. It's traffic mitigation project on 6th Avenue between 12th and 13th Streets. It's a courtesy review to let us know what's up, what are the wishes and the thoughts. And thanks to Helen's ability to throw me in front of the bus and under the bus, I get to be a part of this group. I'm kind of excited about that, something a little different. So who's going to present?
Thank
and
you,
whoever it is,
Martha.
jump right in, share your
great.
screen and have a good time.
Great intro. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to be presenting with my colleague, Emily. My name is Gabriela Barrias Longoria. I'm a planner at the Department of Transportation and Mobility at the city. And I'm the project manager on the city side. So I'll let Emily introduce herself.
Yeah, good evening. And see some familiar faces in the room. Some of you we saw last week when we presented to Armory Park Neighborhood Association. So thanks for the double feature here. Emily Yetman, I'm with a nonprofit in town called Living Streets Alliance. So we do a lot of work around trying to make our streets more hospitable for people. So whether that's biking, walking, or just being. And one of the ways we go about that is through these asphalt art projects that are meant to be temporary, very inclusive of the community, artistic and fun, and also calm traffic. So we'll tell you a little bit more about that tonight. Thanks for having us.
Okay, so we're going to go through some slides. It'll take about 15 minutes, and then you can, if you have a burning question, please put it in the chat, and we're leaving like 15 minutes for conversation and questions at the end. So here's the brief agenda. The main purpose of tonight is to inform you. We want to give you a heads up that this is coming in October and involve you early in the process. We just started our community engagement last week. So as Emily said, we presented to the Armory Park Neighborhood Association. So we want to tell you about this project and kind of get your ideas for some things that you'd like to see at the end. There are the objectives I just shared. So informing, learning more from you on both sides, and then brainstorming future outreach possibilities too that we don't have already on the calendar. So Emily will start us off with some background information.
Great, thanks, Gabby. So many of you are probably familiar with a project that took place in 2018, right in front of Exo Roscoe on 6th Avenue and 6th Avenue and 7th Street. And this was a project that was meant to be, again, temporary. And the impetus for it really had to do with the fact that the intersection was going to be torn up eventually for the Downtown Links project, and there would be a new footprint in place. And in the meantime, that whole area, which had once been pretty industrial in nature, had really, we've all seen it start to shift. There's a lot more foot traffic there, actual destinations for people to go drink coffee, drink beer, shop, exercise, you name it. And so in recent years, there's just become a much more congested area, and some of the business owners right there at the intersection observed some pretty scary behaviors. There was a hit and run incident, and they were really concerned about what could be done to make the intersection safer, knowing that it would eventually be changed, but not wanting to wait the 1, 2, 3 years until that happened to make the changes happen. So what we did was we proposed creating the footprint of what the intersection would eventually be like with temporary materials. So we used paint and planters and flex posts, working really closely with the Department of Transportation and Mobility to redefine the footprint of the intersection. And so you can see there on the left, the semi before, though I will say the high visibility crosswalks were not in place. Those actually got added as a result of the project. But then the after, where you can see there was quite a bit of overbuilt, underutilized asphalt space in this area, and a lot of desire from the businesses in the area to have some flex space for, seating and umbrellas, shade, greenery, beautification, and expression. And so we had the pleasure of working very closely with a lot of business owners and community members, and then did a big block painting party on a beautiful October day, and invited the community out to help paint and transform the area. And so, Gabriella, will you go back one real quick? So one of the things that I just want to point out is what we were doing at the intersection specifically was trying to shorten the crossing distances for people on foot to eliminate or reduce exposure time crossing. We also were looking to reduce the number of through lanes and turn lanes, just so that there was more predictable traffic flow, so that if you're a person driving, you know where to anticipate people crossing on foot or people on bikes crossing the intersection. So it's really a way to indicate how to move through the space, no matter if you're driving, biking, walking, scooting, you name it. So this was, if you go to the next slide now, this was exciting because we did this project mostly as a demonstration, knowing that it would be temporary. At the time, it was intended to last maybe 6 months. And because of construction delays, it was actually in place for almost a year and a half, well, a year and 3/4 before it got torn up for the permanent construction that's now there. And the paint held up really well. And I think a big part of that was that the parts that were painted don't get driven upon. So there wasn't that wear and tear of tires and wheels driving over the murals all the time. But we were really delighted to be contacted by an organization called Street Plans out of New York that was working with Bloomberg Foundation to put together a guidebook for these sorts of projects. So this was a project that got featured as one of, 30 or 40 from across the country, including a couple international pieces too. And we were excited then when the opportunity came up last year to propose a new project. So I'll let Gabriella take it from here and tell you about that.
Okay, so going off of what Emily said, in October, we were awarded a grant from Bloomberg Philanthropies to do another asphalt art project. And we were one of 26 cities, you can see kind of the spread here from across the country, that received the grant. So we were very excited, competitive. I think there were like 300 applications, something like that. And that $25,000 is going to materials and design. And Emily, being on the nonprofit side, is seeking underwriting from other organizations and partners to secure more for materials and to cover her time as well as the artist. So we have received some great support from TEP, Rio Nuevo, AARP. I believe those are maybe I'm missing one. And yeah, we're still seeking more. So we want to, the more we have, the bigger the budget, obviously, the better we can make this. This was just to give you an idea of what we submitted for the grant, that we knew it would be these 3 general areas: the intersection of 12th and 6th, a new mid-block crossing that we're proposing in front of the Children's Museum and Armory Park, and then 13th Street, 6th Avenue intersection, which we've recently decided to cut because basically the asphalt art was going to be pretty minimal there. So we'd rather enhance the other 2 areas and focus on those. So we'll get more into that later. This is a quote that the mayor provided for the press release that went out in October. We have a lot of political support, and thankfully from the neighborhood too. Last week when we presented, I was very grateful that they were excited about this, and Steve K's office is aware, and we're continuing conversations too. So far everybody is really excited, and we're really glad to be sharing this with you tonight. And so just to give you more background on big picture goals, why are we doing this? Number 1 is to enhance safety and mobility. So that is the big reason, and primarily for people that are walking, biking, and encouraging drivers to slow down to make it safer for everyone, and alert that this is an area where there's a lot of foot traffic, people walking and biking, and really kind of the southern entrance to downtown. Promoting a more walkable public realm and expanding public space is another goal, as well as bringing the community together, and of course, adding more art, temporary art. And these are some examples from other cities that you can get an idea of with different applications. There's this really big median here in Philadelphia that was painted, and that was permanent with actual concrete curb. Philadelphia has a great program, so there are many examples, but here's a huge kind of civic space that they have festivals and a lot of different activities. And here's an image of somebody using a stencil and painting from the community. That's a preview of what will happen in October. And then here you have some great intersection projects here another example of how they're using the space for dancing and just bringing the community together. And then 2 examples from Tucson, from traffic circles. And this report came out as a national study. I believe they looked at 12 different cities. And this is really the first of its kind in terms of documenting the safety benefits to these projects. So we saw a 50% reduction in car crashes involving people walking and biking, which is pretty significant. Also 25% decrease in rate of driver pedestrian conflicts, and a 27% increase in the rate of drivers yielding to pedestrians. So a little bit about the design, and we are in the very early stages, so we don't have a final concept plan or artwork to show you tonight. But so this is what we have in terms of where the artwork will go. That's all we know at this point. So these areas in orange are footprints for future street murals. So it's the intersection there at 12th and 6th Avenue. So we're creating those curb extensions or bump outs that already exist here on 13th Street. So that was part of the reason we're like, well, it's a little overkill to enhance that section even more. Plus there's the stamped concrete that makes it a little bit just more difficult with logistics. So we're shortening the crossing distance here and have new crosswalks that are enhanced higher visibility, and then making this 2-way left turn lane a space for art as well. So the traffic engineers looked at it and they're like, oh, we don't really need that 2-way left turn lane here. So people will just turn from that lane. And yeah, it's underutilized. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I lived in Armory Park for about 5 years. And I frequently saw, when I was biking or walking to go downtown, people passing in this 2-way left turn lane or median, which was really scary. It's like, it's not being used for the ways that it's intended to. So let's kind of rethink its purpose. And then this is the big one here, is adding this high visibility crosswalk as a mid-block. From observations of seeing families and having difficulties like walking all this way, going to this crosswalk to get back to their car if they park on this way. So it's like, realistically, if there's a nanny taking the young kids to the museum, or a single mom, has their hands full, are they really going to be able to walk that distance in the heat with no shade? No, we're seeing that just people are crossing here anyways, and it's a really big block with a lot of activity. So we're going to explore that and do a lot of data collection before and after to see if there's kind of what the results are of that. And so the materials, it's paint, planters, and flex posts. That's what we have so far. And the planters are great because we can add more greenery and vegetation to the area. And the flex posts would be these white ones that are standard for all the projects. And okay, implementation and planning. So we had this morning, actually, it's been a big day. We had a presentation, like workshop, with some older adults at the Armory Park Center, which was a lot of fun. We got really great ideas. We had them draw kind of some preliminary things that they would like to see. We asked them about words that describe how they want to feel in this public space, culture, values, symbols, imagery, patterns, and colors. And they got really into it. And some of them are going to work on their designs and brainstorms like over the next week. So we'll collect those next week to see what they came up with. But this is an example of what we're going to do with that feedback that we got from today. Is we're going to give it to the artist, who's still TBD. We're in the selection process, and they're going to see what did the community say, what are what cultures should we represent here, and really make this an opportunity to highlight just the rich history of the area and the people that make it. So then tonight we're presenting to you, obviously, and then we have In August, we're going to be doing 2 more workshops, and that will be kind of vetting a design that we'll have hopefully at that point, a few concepts that the artists will develop, and doing some pop-ups to get more community feedback to meet people where they're at. So that's all going to take place August 20th through the 25th, but we don't have secure dates or locations. So if you have any events that are already on the calendar come to mind that you think we should tap into, please let us know.
All right.
And here's a timeline of the project. So right now we're in the design development where we've done the initial outreach. We'll start creating the engineering site plan, and that's going to have the exact geometries and where each flex post is going to go, and that's going to be submitted with the right-of-way permit for a special event. We've convened a project inspiration panel, which is, we're having our first meeting on Friday, and Martha is going to be on that panel, which I'm really excited about. And then that panel is really going to be instrumental in helping us select an artist, because we could just go through the donation process per the administrative directives of the city and pick an artist. Emily and I could for this because it's under $50,000. But we didn't want to do that. We wanted to really have it rooted in the community and have it vetted and make sure that it's the spirit of the project is there. So then August will be the implementation planning. We'll have the design concepts that we'll be vetting with the community. More outreach, as I said, and this is a typo, Ptsd approval will actually be in September. So September is more implementation planning. We'll do our pre-data collection, pre-photos of the existing conditions, and then we'll do the traffic control plan and the build plan that will say, like, this is actually how we're going to do it on that day. And then in October is the execution. That's where all the fun happens. So we'll do the site prep, refresh the striping, base coat. So the street will get a lot of love and preparation. So to make sure that the paint adheres and that it looks nice. And then the build will be a big block party on October 22nd, which is the same day as United Way Days of Caring, which we strategically chose to tap into that volunteer base as well as many others. So we hope that you join us when that time comes. And then after the project, we'll do more data collection and photos. So how to get involved? The build, as I said, October 22nd, it'll be a special event. The street will be closed right there to keep everybody safe and make sure that folks can get their hands dirty, get some, and be part of the painting process. It'll be a lot of fun. Data collection, you can help us collect bicycle and pedestrian counts if that's something that excites you. And then attending our upcoming outreach events and spreading the word through your channels. That's always helpful. So here are some prompts if just to aid our conversation, if folks don't have questions, but I'm sure you do. So now we'll open it up, and these are also just some questions that we've been posing to people that we've been meeting with to start getting more ideas. So, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And I'll see you Friday. Board, what are you thinking? Got some feedback here?
Well, this is Helen. First of all, Martha, I'm glad you were able to be thrown under the bus on this because I'm working out of town. And what I would suggest is there's so many important historic themes that deal with this area, whether it's the original location of the fort here, the Armory. I mean, there are endless historic themes right in this area, not to mention the City Beautiful plan for both the Carnegie Block and for Armory Park. So I think in terms of artist inspiration, those are really important considerations.
Good. Robin, you got something?
I'm still reading the prompts. Give me a minute. Sorry.
Thank you, Helen. I was not aware of the City Beautiful plan, so I'll search for that and take a look. That's appreciate your feedback. So I heard historic themes, the history of Armory Park itself with the military fort. Is that correct?
Military Plaza is what it was.
Plaza,
I think actually it's still originally or officially called Military Plaza.
Actually, here's Helen again. The reason I like this project is because it can celebrate those themes, but it is not a permanent insertion into the historic district. So I think everybody can feel very comfortable with the way that this is being planned and how it's being implemented.
I agree.
Thank you for pointing that out, and to elaborate on that. It's intended to last at least 1 year. We're anticipating 1 to 2 years. We'll have extra paint to do little touch-ups, but yeah, these projects are intended to kind of fade away over time, and depending on the budget, that also informs like what kind of paint you use. But overall, the other projects that have other cities that have been awarded this grant have, I think, have lasted a couple of years. So we've seen photos of how they've held up, like 6 months in, 1 year in, and you see it still looks nice. It looks different, but yeah, definitely it's temporary in nature.
Gabriela, you anticipate the original art will stay the same, though we know it's not a dynamic project, right? When it goes down, you'll just be touching it up. Is that correct?
That's a good question. Yes, that's what we're thinking right now. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Anyone else, John?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to chime in and ask the same questions again that I asked before. One, I'm kind of surprised that this section is there to enhance transportation mobility, because I'm not aware of it being a particularly dangerous segment. Although I really encourage visual connectivity between the Children's Museum and the park, so I'm perfectly fine with the paint. You know, Mark Crum got transportation enhancement grants and grants from the mayor and so on and so forth. We already have the ADA ramps installed on all those corners. I still have concerns about how the 2 bus stops in that block are going to work, what the effect's going to be to parking. And again, concerns about the baffles and the planters. I asked the question, can they be removed? This particular segment of downtown functions for a lot of public events, including El Tour de Tucson and at one point the holiday parade, and on and on and on, that we've all been supportive of over the years. That if they're permanent baffles, may not allow for some of those events to happen because bleachers couldn't be placed and so on and so forth. So I still want to know if the bollards or the flex posts that you're talking about can be removed for events. The temporary curb cuts, I'm a little bit concerned about because some of those curbs are actually on the National Register designation, and we've come up against this in the past. So chipping out historic sideway curbs for a temporary art project concerns me. And
John, if I could, just for clarification, there are no changes to the existing curb ramps or creation of new ones. So the mid-block crossing, as of right now, I mean, putting in new curbs is very expensive. We've been looking at some really great examples of temporary ADA compliant curb ramps that could be there for the year.
Okay.
And I think part of the thinking there is like, see if the mid-block crossing works, if it's something that people use, if it's something that the community then desires be more permanent, then maybe we work really hard to try and find additional grant funding for that, or, you know, come back and talk about, is this the time to make something like that permanent? But as of right now, there's not budget to do anything that's permanent changes
Yeah, the
So-
last time we looked at putting a raised curb down one block, it was about 350,000, and that was
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
So I
super
don't see any of
expensive.
that. I don't see any of that coming. We did try to put impressed concrete there as a bit, and it was poo-pooed by the then TDOT because it was too close to other signalized intersections and it wasn't felt to be worthy. I just want to make sure that the existing infrastructure is there and whatever goes in is temporary so that we don't lose events. But I'm perfectly fine with an exciting community-oriented paint job.
Good.
Great. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And as I said in the last meeting, it's building on those events. So that's part of the reason why we chose this location is there's already a lot of excitement and activation here. So like, it's going to be really visible, which is really exciting to thousands of people that go to those festivals, and I'll tour that you're so supportive of, which is awesome. And in terms of your concerns of conflicts with those events, of like making sure that they're able to be removed, the flex posts and stuff. Anytime we touch the right of way, I think this project, including, we have to go through risk review, and those folks are really strict. So I assure you, they've got this in terms of making sure that it doesn't interfere with anything and keeps everybody safe. And we're working very closely with the special events group from Parks and Rec. So this is a really fun project to be able to collaborate with them on. So
I think
thanks for your support.
Can I do one minor, this just annoys me and it shouldn't, it's really, but you say Armory Park and Senior Center. It's not the Senior Center anymore, is it? I thought it
Oh,
was
did I
just
say
the
that? No, I
Park
said
Center.
Armory Park Center.
It says Senior Center on this graphic.
Oh, on the graph. I don't know. I just,
Yeah, it's kind of like when people say alleys in my neighborhood, and it's really,
Yeah.
they're small avenues.
I hear
So
you.
that's
So it looks
a
like
minor.
we're going to lose 4 parking spaces.
Maybe.
So this is an early
Okay.
concept plan. We haven't done talked to Donovan yet from Park Tucson, but I don't,
Okay.
looks like it might potentially 4. But yeah, there's a lot of parking over here, as you know, on the adjacent streets. So I mean, part of it's like redefining where our priorities in terms of, yeah, is it worth making it safer, and is it worth, like, there's trade-offs, right?
Okay.
Losing
I
parking spot for.
I'm also concerned about how traffic will back up there because 6th Avenue is the only northern route. All the others in that segment are southern routes. So that builds up and traffic is backed up from Broadway down to about 15th Street almost every day. And most people turn right or left on 13th to go around the segment. So I'm just wondering how this is functionally going to work. But
So
again, I support the paint.
If you're talking about that, you're saying they're turning on over here on 13th, the bottom
No,
of it.
the center lane functions as a turn lane. Obviously, we want to discourage people from using the center lane as a passing lane, but it is a turn lane and functions that way and is often used that way.
Gotcha.
Including by
So
bus.
we may, well, what we can do is stop the art on the other side of the crosswalk or something. We need to say thank you for this presentation and move along because I got people to pick up from a hospital. So if we can wrap this up and say thank you very much for doing the presentation. I would appreciate it.
I would just want to say thank you for all the good work you do at Living Streets, and this looks like a lot of fun.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
It's going to be good. And also, and I'll talk about what we did, the meeting we had in reactivating Armory Park.
Last night,
It's
right?
really going to work out
Very recently.
well, I think.
Great.
So
Great.
thank you
for your
both, and I will
time.
see you Friday.
Yeah.
And
Thank
would
you for
again
having
know-
us.
Oh, anytime. Thank you very much. Go get some rest.
Okay. Have a good night.
You've had a
Bye-bye.
long day.
Nap
Okay.
time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
Bye-bye.
hey, Tom, what's the update on the guidelines? Anything happening with you and Glenn?
Short answer, no. I haven't talked to Glenn about it since he sent out his version before, and I would like to hear what the city is actually going to do with boards before we waste a
Well, you
lot
know
of
what?
time.
That's the next thing. Yeah, well, it's interesting because there's, everybody seems to be going through and going over their guidelines again. So we will go to the next item on the agenda, and then number 6, Tucson Fema County Historical Commission separation update. Jody, it's you.
And I'm gonna give you my update, and I want to let you know my husband and daughter just got home, so there's gonna be some racket background. Sorry.
Ooh.
So we did have our 4th stakeholder meeting on June 16th, I think it was. We had some support for some items, because bear in mind, this isn't just the separation of the Tucson Historical Commission. There are some code updates. So generally, I would say that there was support for the deconstruction talk that we were talking about, so that stuff doesn't go to the landfills. It's systematically deconstructed, and maybe there's reuse for the materials, such as the architectural salvage or homeowners or whoever wants to use that material. There was support for fees for unpermitted work. There was support for designation of the interiors, individually listed properties and city-owned properties, not whole interiors, but like public spaces like lobbies or living room, something like that. There was support for the historic preservation officer issuing the decision letter rather than the director of planning and development services issuing that. And then there was definitely support for more staff for the historic preservation. There was a lot of concern for incorporation of the advisory boards into the plans review subcommittee. When we had originally kind of gone forward, we were talking about a couple of things. One, that the plans review subcommittee's function, which is plan review and review of nominations, et cetera, would be done by the full commission. And there was a lot of pushback against that. So we had revised that and said, okay, we'll look at having the plans review subcommittee kind of stay in its current iteration. And we had talked about incorporating the member of the advisory boards into the plans review subcommittee. It turns out that there is a lot of, for lack of a better description, distrust of the neighborhood associations. It seems that there was concern that the neighborhood association could not adequately handle either appointing a member to the advisory boards or having an architectural review committee. And there was really not a lot of support for eliminating or reducing the advisory boards or incorporating the advisory boards. During that meeting, during our 4th stakeholder meeting, we actually received an email from the SHPO office. So originally what started this out, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, back in 2019-ish or so, we were told by Eric Vondi from the State Historic Preservation Office that they had a meeting with the National Park Service. It was kind of and I forget what the meeting is called, but it's like a annual SHPO people meeting with the National Park Service. And for the record, that's not the official title. And they all got together, and some other entity asked, can two CLGs, certified local governments, that's what we are, and that's what Pima County is, operate together jointly? And the National Park Service came back with, no, that's not appropriate. They should be all operating on their own. So we had started on the endeavor, and then the pandemic hit and we lost staff and we all went to our houses and started to work, and it kind of went south. While we were at home a little bit later, the deputy at the time, Chris Cody, came down at the request of the mayor's office and spoke to mayor and council and said, yes, they should be separated and they should be moving forward with this project. And the mayor and council then made a motion to give us that directive. So we started in earnest, and then that's when we hired the Michael Baker International to start working on that project. More recently, the county kind of did a little bit of research on joint commissions out there and found that there was a handful of commissions that operate jointly with like a city county kind of thing like we have. It's not a lot. There is, for the record, I was curious, so I spent time. There's 2,081 CLGs nationwide, and out of that, probably like, I don't know, 10-ish or so operate jointly. So they kind of were pushing back a little bit, and the National Park Service now has said they're going to study the joint commission thing. Who knows how long it's going to take the National Park Service to do that? It could take a year and a half, 2 years. I don't know how long it's going to take. And SHPO doesn't even know how long it's going to take. With that in mind, and kind of the feedback that we got from the stakeholder meeting recommendations, we plan to go back to mayor and council in August, September timeframe. More likely September. We haven't actually down the date yet, during a study session to give them an update and get further direction from them. It is ultimately, mayor and council who make the decision. So we haven't scheduled. What'll happen in theory is that we have a historic commission work session, we have a planning commission work session, and then we have a mayor and council. And so all of those are public meetings. And once they get scheduled and we get forward going on that, I will notify everybody. So you're welcome to come to those meetings and voice your concerns or your support on whatever you want to say, because there'll be public meetings at that point. We haven't scheduled those yet. I don't expect that they'll be scheduled until after we get further direction from mayor and council in the August, September study session timeframe that we're looking at to update them. That is probably that's the update. I will say at this point, because I had to give the same update to West University around 6 o'clock because I go to that meeting before I jump over to this meeting. We did let them know that you should continue forward as you're going. Ultimately, it's mayor and council that makes the decision on whether or not the advisory boards, and I know this is your primary concern, the advisory boards are incorporated or are they just staying the same? They're the ones. So even though recommendations are going forward, it's ultimately up to them. So you should continue to operate as you do. You should continue to refine your design guidelines as you do. Keep you updated as I do on when the meetings are so that you can go forward. I know through the grapevine, I'm just putting this out there, that there was a meeting I wasn't invited to, and that's fine. I don't need to be invited to them to discuss the path forward that the advisory boards wanted to take and how they wanted to interact with that. I would suggest in the meeting in the future, should you have your planning sessions like that, I'm more than happy to post an agenda for you and I don't have to attend it, just so that you're all on the up and up. I don't want anybody to have any kind of, God forbid, some other crap falls down from like the Attorney General's office. Not that I'm going to do it and I'm not threatening it. I just want to tell you in the nicest means way possible that I'm more than happy to post an agenda for you. I don't have to attend the meeting so that you can plot however you want to do. Just so I'm putting that out there.
That's so nice of you to put that out there. John, you have your hand up.
Jody, at the last historical commission, they voted 9-3 to send a letter to mayor and council with 4 points. One, to basically pause this process. If it's actually needed to do it by a simple text amendment, create a new local study that I think there's some financing for grants for, to see how the current process actually works, and to get rid of the concept of getting rid of the advisory boards. How does that fit in with where you anticipate the recommendations from your group going forward?
I expect that that will be something that will be sent to mayor and council. And it is the prerogative of mayor and council to move forward with those recommendations from the commission or not. It's prerogative. And if they give us that direction, then that's the direction that we go. I mean, we take our direction from what we receive from mayor and council.
Okay. Robin.
Jody, hi. As I recall from the minutes of the last meeting, there was a recording of the previous meeting that had not yet been provided. Has that been done?
I think I sent that to all the stakeholders. Previous advisory board meeting that you guys had in June, or previous stakeholder meeting?
I believe it was a stakeholder. I'm sorry, I'm reading the minutes. Remember that there was an unfulfilled recording in the last meeting.
I think that was for the stakeholder. I had sent that out to everybody.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Although,
stuff blends together, and sometimes I think I did stuff and I didn't do stuff. But I'm pretty sure, like, I'm gonna go with like 87% sure that I sent that out.
okay, I'll double check. Thank you.
I sent it to stakeholders, so it would have been Martha who received it.
It was probably Martha who did not pass it on to her board, because one thing is running into another thing all the time. And you will be happy to know there will never be a quorum of any commission or historic zone advisory board at one of my discussion sessions. And if you'd like to come, it would be different. But yeah, I've had a couple meetings with people from Fort Lowell, El Presidio, West University, and the Barrio. So we're talking. I also did go to Marin Council. And Anna contacted me to make sure. And
I'll fess up.
It's not a public.
Anna contacted you because I contacted Anna because I was concerned that you were having a quorum, and I didn't need to attend. I just wanted to make sure that nobody got in trouble. So
I appreciate that, and I appreciate Anna doing that. And I just sent her a get well text because she's at home suffering from COVID. So that sucks to be her. In the meantime, John, you have a motion for this thing. You want to go for it?
Actually, yeah. I have a pretty large network through DNARC and other things, and have reached out individually to other neighborhood associations, both historic and
you're fading out.
Both historic neighborhood associations and HPZs. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. And I feel that each of the advisory boards and their supporting neighborhoods are sending a letter to mayor and council saying, don't get rid of the unique perspective of the advisory boards. They have a different task from the Historic Commission, and that it could be possible to just do a simple text amendment if it is deemed that the commissions be split. I don't have any idea what that outcome may be. It may be effective to create two commissions, but have collaboration, which is allowed by the national organization. But the stakeholder process currently, I feel, is fairly heavily weighted towards the development community rather than the historic preservation community. That's a personal feeling. But I think that this board should reach out to mayor and council and direct Martha to send a letter stating that we are very concerned and we wish them to direct staff to not get rid of the advisory boards as part of this process. It's obvious that a streamlining needs to take place, but as all of us are fairly well aware of, it's usually city processes that are the problem in that, not necessarily constituent members. And I feel like we've been particularly good about furthering well-developed plans and following the process in a timely fashion. So I would like to make a motion to direct Martha to write a letter to mayor and council stating that we would prefer that a simple text amendment to split the commissions be considered, and that any discussion of removal of HPZ boards from the process be taken off the table.
I will second that motion.
Have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
This is Helen. I think that one of the, okay. So I don't think we have to vote at this point to separate the commissions. I think that is still under consideration as far as I know. So perhaps it would be better to drop that, but to simply say that regardless of how this works out, whether we separate commissions or don't separate commissions, that the advisory boards should be retained.
Is that an acceptable change to you,
Yeah,
John?
I'm fine with that, Helen. I don't want to make it too complicated, but I think mayor and council need to know that now that it's been disclosed that that is a continuing recommendation of the stakeholder process that they initiated, that we should say, no, this really shouldn't happen. And have Martha send that letter.
I just want to separate that, the separation of the commission from the retention of the advisory board.
Right. Is that okay with you, John, to get rid of that part of your motion?
Yes.
Maurice, is that okay with your second?
I will second the change.
John, can you restate your
Okay.
motion, please?
Basically that the advisory board asked Martha to send a letter to mayor and council saying that we do not support any dissolution of the advisory boards or their unique contribution to over 50 years, their responsibilities to mayor and council and the community at large to represent the best interests of those HPZs to mayor and council.
I'm so glad you kept it simple.
I'll write it up.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. In a timely manner, I'm sure. And we have a second. Let's call a vote. Tom.
I'm going to abstain because I don't know what the hell's going on, and I'm not privy to a lot of these meetings that have been going on. And, you know, I don't know what's best here. So I'm abstaining from this vote.
Okay. Maurice.
Aye.
Helen. I think maybe it's my internet connection. Helen?
She's frozen. You want to chat with her, Martha? Want me to do that?
Maybe. Robin?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a yes. John?
Yes.
Okay, Helen? Helen? Let me see if I can get a, who can see direct call? Helen? Vote? Helen, vote, go to. Helen.
She just left. She just dropped off, Martha.
Oh, crap.
I chatted her. We'll see. Maybe she's reconnecting.
Yeah, let's hope. Otherwise, we've lost our quorum, and that would be a bad thing. That would be the first time that ever happened. So I'm sure she's going to come back on. Come on, Helen, you can do it.
No. We'll give her a few minutes.
It looks like she's coming back on.
Hi.
Hey,
Yes.
hi.
Just got disconnected for some reason.
That's okay. We were waiting for your vote on this motion.
Okay, I vote aye.
All right, so it passes 5-1, and I will get the letter written and
Martha, it's
get
fine.
that.
Could I
to
correct you
them.
on that, Martha? It passes 5-0 with an abstention.
Oh, thank you for the correction.
I did not vote against it.
Correct.
You didn't vote against it. All right. Okay. Call to the board. Maurice, you got stuff?
I do.
Ooh, Jody, go for it. Wait a minute.
I just,
Let's see. Maurice is moved, so let me get him first. Yes, Maurice.
Okay, I just wanted to break the news that real estate expansion is no longer what it has been for the past couple of years. Whoever bought property within the past couple of years, as a matter of fact, should be really careful because the prices that have been are staple for the past couple of years are no longer going to be around. If you bought something with a real high mortgage and expect to cover your mortgage with rentals, you're going to have a problem. Okay, the construction starts are starting to dip. Okay, and that basically is an indication of a real estate disease that usually pushes property prices down. So if you're in the mood for expanding your properties or buying investment properties, think twice. This may not be the best time to go about it. That's all.
Okay. That's lovely encouraging. Actually, it is kind of encouraging when it comes to historic preservation. Jody Brown, you're next.
if you haven't heard, I wanted to let you know that Scott Clark, the director of Ptsd, has been reassigned to the manager's office. So he is not the director any longer of Ptsd. Sorry, that's my dog.
Who is?
We have our interim director is Tim Torme. And I don't say his last name right. He is the assistant city manager. And then pretty much for the day-to-day stuff, Lynn Birkenbein, who's the deputy director, is there, but hasn't been removed. He's just been reassigned to the city manager's office.
Do you expect to do a national hiring process for a replacement?
Per Tim, I don't know if you're aware, PTSD is rather understaffed, seriously understaffed. And we got the okay from the mayor and council maybe a few weeks ago to hire 14 staff. That is not for historic preservation. It's for engineering and it's for like the current planners. They do plan reviews, zoning, site review, et cetera, like that. So he's concentrating on getting those hired because they're, for lack of a better description, they're frontline staff. And they are very important. And so once they get hired, and that's in process right now, then they will start to do a likely nationwide look. But that really hasn't been announced.
Okay, so it'll be Tim or Lynn that will be signing director's letters in the interim.
Yes.
Okay.
Most likely Lynn will be signing those, but yes.
She's been in that position many times before.
Yes.
She was even one of the acting directors in the past.
Yeah, let's hope that the new people at least get the tour of your office area. Oh, and by the way, here's the historic preservation people. So they have some idea of what they might be working with, which would be pleasant.
Yeah, and ultimately, I did forget to mention it, but as part of this, hopefully, either way it goes, advisory boards, no advisory boards, we will be making a push for more staff for historic preservation specifically. recognizing that there could be more historic preservation zones that come on board, and we're just kind of understaffed. And I attend a lot of meetings in the evening and don't take a lot of vacation, so it'd be nice to have some.
Okay, Tom, what do you got for us besides that you had a great vacation?
Well, I just
I had
wanted
a
to
great-
say,
Sorry, Maurice, Libby. Yep.
I just wanted to say that Jody's screen of the Castle of Chambord is particularly beautiful.
She figured you'd like that. Okay, Tom.
Had a great vacation. I got to experience COVID along the way. So Jenny and I have both had it now and recovered. But other than that, life is beautiful.
Good, good. Robin.
Just want to remind you all to turn your ballots in as a campaign consultant, and August 2nd's coming and cannot come soon enough, frankly. So,
I bet, yeah, my ballot's already in. I'm there. Okay, Helen, anything?
Yes, I just wanted to say that I attended the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions meetings in Cincinnati last week, and it was an exceptionally fine collection of presentations. And I'll probably be talking to Jody about it when I have the spare moment, which doesn't look like that's going to happen real soon.
For a while. Okay, great, good. That's my board.
I've got one.
Oh, there's John. What, babe?
We had the IID Design Review Committee meeting, and we approved the Ugly But Honest Pizzeria and the relocating of the sign with the same conditions that the advisory board made previously, pending Jody's certification that the sign won't lose its status, which appears to be in process in concurrence with SHPO. Otherwise, I don't have any design meetings to move forward with.
Okay, Ken
Oh,
Taylor.
Do we have any minor reviews?
Nothing that I've heard of. Michael said that the last meeting he was working on some. I haven't heard a thing.
Okay.
I did see, Jody, that really obnoxious fancy fence that I sent you a photo of that was just like, oh, I'll be calling him and bugging him about that.
I don't think I got that email about a fence.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's a fence that I did a minor review with Phyllis Factor and Michael Taku probably 2 years ago on 13th and Railroad. That was a wall coming towards 13th and then a fence across the front. What they put up is, I'm sure, nothing that in my worst nightmare I would have approved. But I'll get back to you on that. And I sent Michael.
That Janet Miller sent that to me, I think.
Yeah, Janet Miller sent it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Jody, I have some advice. There's a nearby resident who, in trying to get their property sold, has demolished a lot of the interior and some of the enclosures on formerly enclosed porches. It's a non-contributing building. Can I give him advice to stop so that the footprint can be used by anybody who may buy it? And to seek out guidance from you since it's in the HPZ?
That's your prerogative. You're welcome to give advice to anybody that you want to. You're welcome to do that.
Okay.
All right, Ken Taylor, you're up. Anything? Ken left an hour ago and just didn't bother to. All right, Ken, I'll come back to you. Fernando, you got, oh, here comes Ken. No? Ken, there you are. Nothing. Okay, thanks for coming to the meeting. Appreciate it. All right, Fernando, how about you? Unmute. Fernando going once. Fernando going twice. Fernando, thank you for attending the meeting. Appreciate it. We're going to adjourn. It is now 8:26, so a little bit longer than I would have liked. Do we have anything, future agendas? Can we like take a month off, Jody?
No, you had that time like a couple of years ago, like. didn't
Yeah,
have a
I
lot of
remember
meetings.
that.
Now we're back on schedule. I do expect that, because I know they're working their way through the apps, and I know that they've resubmitted, that you will be seeing the All Saints project. I don't have a date for when that's going to be docketed, but I expect that you'll be seeing that sometime in the future.
Oh, boy. All right. Yeah, let's see. I am in Pennsylvania for the next one, so it'll be past my bedtime, but I will do my best to attend. All right, Fernando, last call. And we're done. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I appreciate your time. And we will be talking. You have any questions, let me know. You got my email. Thank you, Jody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Night all.
Bye-bye.
Hey, all.
Bye.
Go vote.